Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
A rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, cause the rich men. I wish politicians look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, north of rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose. We are live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody is having a great time out there. I'm just making sure my mic volume is good. I've been having trouble connecting. It keeps on connecting to the other mic. But, man, what an interesting time to be alive. You know, we are on the cusp of something truly remarkable in human history. A technological revolution unseen before any time in history. But it's happening at the same time that we're going through a fourth turning. Now, I find that kind of interesting, that an old system is being dismantled and torn down, and a new system has the opportunity to rise up in its spot. But yet it's the same game over and over again, isn't it? It's the same thing that we see all the time. And it doesn't matter who's in the White House or who's in the presidency. It all seems to kind of move towards one direction anyways, right? If you're wondering what I'm talking about, you know, there was a few different posts on social media today. And I put a few comments on this, and let's start with this, because I don't want to go into everything else I wanted to talk about. That's news. That's good news. We'll go to the middle of the good news stuff, right? But let's talk about this first. Now, I have to give you a little historical context here. In 2016, when Donald Trump was running for president, you got to remember, a year before that, he won the Republican primary, where he had less than 3% chance out of 17 different candidates to win the Republican primary. After he won the Republican primary, a group of GOPers began a coup against Donald Trump, trying to utilize Article 9 within the RNC. That was Mike Pence, and that was Paul Ryan. Even so much that they exchanged emails talking about, after they replaced Donald Trump, getting rid of him one way or another. And we can take in the context what we talked about last night on DEFCON 0 in the sense, I think it was Operation, what was it? Project Silence, I think it was called. Project Silence, where in Project Silence, you had Barack Obama plotting an assassination on Donald Trump. Well, they were planning the same thing, to remove Donald Trump from the primary winner, and then to hijack the Republican candidacy through Pence and Paul Ryan. That was eventually thwarted, and Trump had to make deals. He had to make deals and bring Vice President Pence, or Mike Pence, in as his VP. In other words, Mike Pence was Donald Trump's handler for the GOP. And he worked with the various different institutions, which told them, hey, you need to hire this person. You need to hire this person, McMaster, and all these guys. And it ended up being nothing but deep staters, nothing but neocons being infiltrated into Donald Trump's administration. And see, you have to understand that the GOP saw an opportunity at this point in time. See, the Democrats had basically perfected the system of stealing elections, and Republicans that were put into various points of power were on that payroll. They were winning elections only because the Democrats allowed them to win elections. The Democrats had taken over the deep state. The deep state isn't just the Democrats, the communists. The deep state is uniparty. It is neocons. It is socialists. It is a group of very wealthy and powerful people that are organized within politics and outside of politics, and NGOs and businesses and organizations. The deep state is great and wide, and it doesn't have a political affiliation. It has one goal in mind, and that's a one world government. But you have to remember that the neocons and the GOP look at this in the context that, hey, we have an opportunity right now with Donald Trump in 2016 to re-infiltrate, to take out the Democrats and take back the deep state and put our people in place. And see, by 2020, they realized that Donald Trump was having nothing to do with it, that Donald Trump has an agenda of his own and he couldn't be controlled at that level. So what did? They conspired with the Democrats, with foreign adversaries, Venezuela, China, to take Donald Trump out. And we know this because January 6th, we know this because of January 7th, we know this because they stayed silent because they were scared. We're talking about members of Senate. We're talking about members of Congress. They stayed silent because they allowed the coup to happen. And they allowed it to happen because it's more important for the party than it was for Donald Trump. And see, in 2025, when Donald Trump ran for re-election, he still needed the GOP. Any way you want to look at it. Susie Wiles, Donald Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, ran Ron DeSantis' governor campaign. Do you remember when Donald Trump during the 2023 primary, Republican GOP primary, went against DeSantis, Ron DeSanctimonious? Yeah, it was probably a staged event between the two, but the purpose of it was real. The purpose of it was to divide the GOP away from the neocons, the deep staters, the financiers that were looking for pay-to-play schemes versus the people that were truly loyal to Donald Trump. Well, those people that come into there are people like Susie Wiles. So was the trade-off of Donald Trump winning the Republican primary and coming in and getting support of the Republican Party that have Susie Wiles as his side? Now, I only say that because there's certain things that are happening that don't make sense. I'm going to play a clip for you. This is Yuval Noah Harari of the World Economic Forum. Listen to what he says. Because this is ultimately the New World Order agenda.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin, their body temperature. Like we walked in here, we had to go through a body temperature test. Now they're using it to see whether you have the coronavirus. But exactly the same technology can determine what you think about the government. You know, anger is a biological phenomena just like disease. It's not some spiritual thing out there. It's a biological pattern in your body. With this kind of surveillance, I mean, you watch the big president, the big leader, gives a speech on television. The television could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry or not, just by analyzing the cues, the biological cues coming from your body. Are you angry about what you hear? Are you frightened? Are you bored? This is the kind of power that Stalin didn't have. You know, when Stalin gave a speech, everybody, of course, clapped their hand and smiled. Now, how do you know what they really think about Stalin? It's very difficult. You can't have a KGB agent following everybody all the time. Even if you do it, he's just watching your outside behavior. He doesn't really know what's happening in your mind. But in 10 years, the future Stalins of the 21st century, they could be watching the minds, the brains of all the population all the time. And also they will have the computing power to analyze all that. You know, it's not just having an agent following everybody all the time. The agent in Stalin's days writes a paper report, and you have these millions of paper reports piling up in Moscow. Somebody needs to read them, to analyze them. That's impossible. Now you don't need human agents. You don't need human analyzers. You just have a lot of sensors and an AI which analyzes it, and that's it. You have the worst totalitarian regime in history. And COVID is important because COVID legitimizes some of the crucial steps, even in democratic countries.
Well, and by the way, Yuval Noah Harari there was not a proponent of it. He was warning against it, actually, which is kind of interesting. He says this will bring about the worst totalitarian state. But today, we had something interesting happen. The Trump team announced the digital health tech ecosystem that was going to be developed. The digital health tech ecosystem. What is the digital health tech ecosystem? So when we start to look at this thing, well, it is a group of various different big tech companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft AI, health giants like CVS, United Healthcare, the Cleveland Clinic. And what does it do? The digital health tech ecosystem is envisioned as the Internet of Health data, designed to digitize, unify, and modernize healthcare in the U.S. through public-private collaboration. Where have we heard public-private before? PPP. Remember ESG, environmental social governance. The governance side is public-private partnerships, PPP. So it's meant to do this through public-private collaboration. Its purpose is to eliminate fragmented medical records and data silos across the United States, pharmacies, insurers, and patients, empower patients to complete ownership and portability of their medical data, leverage AI-driven healthcare tools to reduce cost, speed diagnosis, enable personalized care, build a national scalability digital health infrastructure. Oh, that rivals big tech's cloud and AI ecosystems. Now, this is integrated with AI, but see, here's the problem. This is government owned. This is government controlled, regulated, and operated. Your health data is your personal digital data. The government doesn't own it. The companies don't own it and shouldn't own it. That is your information. This system, although it seems very benign at first when we look at it, it's going to make it easier for, I go to a doctor's appointment down here and my original doctor's over there, and they can just go online and see my digital health record and they can know my health and they don't have to call that doctor's office and have it transferred over. Oh my God, it makes so much sense. It's so much more efficient. And in that context, it absolutely is. But what happens when that program expands, when that program starts to get funding, when big tech, as we have seen over the last 20 years, begins to mine and harvest that data, sell that data off to intelligence agencies, begins tracking you through computers and monitors and screens and watching behavioral data and putting that into analytical AIs that determine your health state. Oh, you haven't eaten in 24 hours. Here's a commercial of a burger. It becomes a massive violation of your 4th and 14th Amendment rights. But that's just the very low end of it. This is why I say beware of Tyranny 3.0. Because Web 3.0, although it's technologically driven and it looks like it is sovereign in nation, it has the capability, if we do nothing, it has the capability to be highly tyrannical. So my voice is too high pitched, a little bass was, I can't control that. It's a freaking microphone. It's just my voice. I'm sorry. I mean, unless it's screeching in the mic, I guess I can move it back a little bit. So I apologize, but there's nothing I can do on that. I get excited. And we're talking about egregious violations, your 4th, your 5th, your 1st, your 5th Amendment rights, your 15th or 14th Amendment rights. So in coming with this and understanding the tyranny that could come about from all of this, we start to see that this technocratic system that is being built around, which is in public-private partnership with government, the U.S. government is directly involved in this. You got to remember, Donald Trump created Unit 201. Unit 201 is the chief operating officer, in some positions, the chief technical officer of these major tech companies, is now in the Army Reserves, is a lieutenant, a major within the Army Reserves. That position, not necessarily the people who serve that position are going to be in there, but then that position, when that person gets replaced, the next one's going to be a major in the Army Reserves. So Donald Trump, in a context, or people behind Donald Trump, are nationalizing the technology of this country and integrating it directly into the government. Well, what does this mean? This means that the government then is going to have access to massive amounts of data on you and me. But here's the problem. They don't own that data. This has been one of the biggest concerns, privacy concerns, gripes, complaints that people like you and me have had since the inception of the internet. Why is it that this company gets to own my data? That's my data, not theirs. And they make it sound all legalese within the terms of service in the user agreement so that you can just waive the right to that data. Times have changed. Times absolutely have changed. See, the reason why times have changed is because we got new technologies that have been integrated within the world. We have artificial intelligence on the rise. We have blockchain technology, which is a public ledger that is immutable, that has zero proof truths, right? We have the ability to say, hey, if this is your data, you keep it, you store it. If we need to access it for you, we can access it with your permission and consent. We have the capability to do that right now. So why does the government, why does big tech have to be the custodians of your and my data? So what do we need? Well, this actually goes back to some Q posts, if you remember. And this is actually aligned in context to a conspiracy. If you don't know who John Perry Barlow is, John Perry Barlow was a poet and a writer, but also one of the lyricists to the Grateful Dead. That's how I knew him. But see, John Perry Barlow was also a freedom fighter for digital rights, and he had written something known as the Digital Bill of Rights, and he was a strong proponent of that. John Perry Barlow posted on January 27, 2018, pertaining to the Digital Bill of Rights and how we need to push that, and asking the Trump administration to help with that. He was dead on February 18th. What is a Digital Bill of Rights? What does that really mean, Digital Bill of Rights? Recognizing that the 21st century, personal data is an extension of selfhood, of property and liberty. The following rights, I think, should be guaranteed to all individuals under the Constitution of the United States through a new amendment called the Digital Bill of Rights. The right to digital self-ownership. Every individual has full sovereign ownership of their personal data, identical in standing to physical property rights. Personal data cannot be accessed, transferred, or sold without explicit, informed, and revocable consent of the individual. Individuals have the exclusive right to hold their data in self-custody, independent of governments and corporations. 2, you have the right to privacy and protection from surveillance. No government entity or private organization may collect, store, analyze, or share personal data without a specific, narrowly tailored warrant or voluntary contract. Mass data collection, warrantless surveillance, and algorithmic profiling of individuals shall be presumed unconstitutional unless strict due process is observed. If we don't do this, then FISA is going to happen all over again. NSA spying on American citizens will happen all over again. Private communications, biometric data, health records, financial transactions, and digital activity are protected from unreasonable searches and seizures under the Fourth Amendment. You should have the right to informed and transparent data use. Individuals must receive clear, plain language disclosures on what data is collected on them, how it is stored, shared, and monetized, which third parties access it and for what purposes. Dark patterns or deceptive data policies are legally prohibited, with violators subject to civil and criminal penalties. Also on top of that is if you have a term of service that you're entering into and they tell you outright that they're going to sell your data, then you should get paid for that. That's your data. You should have the right to portability and erasure. Individuals may freely transfer their data between service providers in a machine-readable standardized format. Individuals have the absolute right to request deletion or withdrawal of their data from any database unless retention is required by a specific law or court order. Any refusal to comply with a deletion request must be judicially reviewed within 30 days. You should have the right to digital due process. Data-based decisions affecting life, liberty, or property, health access, credit scores, employment, government services must be subject to transparent algorithms explainable to the individual. Provide a right to human review and legal appeal of any automated decision. Prohibit black box determinations without disclosure or underlining data and logic. Right to security and compensation of breach. Any entity entrusted with personal data has a constitutional duty of care to protect it with state-of-the-art cybersecurity. Individuals harmed by a data breach, misuse, or unlawful sale of their information have the right to full monetary compensation for damages, class action legal recourse, government-supported prosecution of negligence and malicious actions. You have the right to digital autonomy and non-coercion. No individual may be forced to disclose personal data or submit to digital monitoring as a condition for access or essential services, just like the terms of services that we have right now with utilizing a lot of these different sites. And this goes for healthcare, education, employment, voting, public utilities. Digital identity systems cannot be made mandatory for participation in civil society. Absolutely not. Unless narrowly tailored and subject to judicial overrule. And even so, I don't want that. Individuals should retain the right to live anonymously online and offline, free from compelled data exposure. You should have the right to algorithmic fairness. Any algorithmic system used by governments or corporations to make impactful decisions about an individual must be audible for bias, fairness, and accuracy, must not discriminate based on protected attributes, race, religion, political affiliation, and health status, must allow independent third-party oversight and public accountability. You should have the right to personal digital infrastructure. Individuals have the right to self-host, encrypt, and secure their personal data using private tools or wallets. Refuse participation in centralized data registries or platforms without losing access to fundamental rights and services. Use decentralized technologies for secure communication and information exchange without unlawful interference. Digital rights are inalienable rights. Digital rights cannot be signed away, sold under coercion, or stripped without due process. Similar to core constitutional protections, any law or corporate policy conflicting with this Bill of Rights is null and void to extent of that conflict. These rights extend to all U.S. citizens and residents. Any violation by government or private entities is actionable in court. Guys, we need a digital Bill of Rights. We need it today. We needed it yesterday. See, it's only something like that that is going to protect us from the technocratic infrastructure that is rising up right now. Now, I'm a proponent of technology. I love what's going on. I love what Donald Trump's doing. But when I saw this digital health ecosystem today, I said, whoa, hold on a second here. Donald Trump, do you understand what that is? That is the base platform for a social credit system, for digital ID. It's going to have all your vaccine records. It's going to have all of your medical data. It's going to have a collaboration and another government system with your digital ID and your voting record and then your FBI record and your social media context that's been driven through, past analytics and brought in the sense of how your behaviors and your subtleties and formalities all operate. Your digital egg and persona are going to be stored by the government. And that's a no-no. That's a big fucking no-no. And so when I see something like this, I know that Trump administration is coming out and saying, look, people, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to protect you. Yeah, you're going to protect us now. But what happens in 4 years from now when someone else is in power? Are they going to protect us? Or 12 years from now? 8 years down the road, 12 years or 16 years down the road, when you get another tyrant that comes in, they propose new legislation, they hijack Congress again, and they implement nothing more than a beast system. See, before you implement a system like this, you have to implement a digital Bill of Rights, and you have to do it correctly. You have to make it constitutionally assured. So Baugust said that it's, Josh, it's parallel to a cryptocurrency without gold backing. You're very right on that. It's like it's like XRP. It's like a CBDC, people. When you start building out this tech infrastructure without any provisions of data right protections for the individual, you're going to have problems. And you're going to have big fucking problems. And what I'm going to urge, and if we need to start this movement, we need to start this movement right now. We need to urge Donald Trump, his administration, Congress, and Senate to immediately begin proposing a digital Bill of Rights as an amendment to the United States Constitution that when we get supermajority in 2026, that this gets passed and implemented almost immediately. It needs to be adopted by all states. We need digital protections, digital 4th, 5th, 1st Amendment, 14th Amendment protections, and we needed them yesterday. Because the faster that this technological system begins to come about, the faster that this technological system begins to unravel and come about, the harder it's going to be to implement this process, to get protections for your digital rights and freedoms. All right, ran over. So when I say beware of Tyranny 3.0, this is coming from someone who's looked at this entire system that is coming about, the parallel economic system, the new technological framework that is coming in, what Donald Trump is doing, how he is setting up the United States of America for success. This is someone who has looked at all of this from a 300-mile view looking down. We're past the 40,000-foot view. I deep dove into all of this. This shit that came out today, that wasn't Trump. That was the technocrats in the Silicon Valley who supported and sponsored Donald Trump and donated to his campaign, coming back and saying, you made a campaign promise, we want this now, and Donald Trump acquiesced. That's what I just saw today. And that's scary because that means that people have influence over Donald Trump to a large degree. On the other side of it, that influence from big tech Silicon Valley, which lays the infrastructure for global governance, for a social credit system, for ID 2020, a digital ID infrastructure, are the same multi-headed hydra that we're working with the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, to implement depopulation agendas, to bring about this transition of the fourth turning into a one world government. They are the same people. Which goes back to the fact that we're not out of the woods yet, people. There is still a lot of work that needs to be done. And what of the other things? And it's a trap. I Am Schaefer says, it's a trap. It's another trap. It is a trap. I 100% agree with you. It is a trap. A lot of the things that we're seeing, that if it's not done correctly, is a trap for future tyranny. And I assume Donald Trump has the foresight to see that. And I'm not disagreeing with Donald Trump on his vision, because he knows that while he is in the presidency, things will be okay. But for how long? How many times have we seen big tech go behind the government's back, steal your data and violate your civil rights? We just saw the collaboration over the last 4 years of big tech and the White House and the Department of Justice collaborating against you, violating your constitutional rights. That happened in real time in the modern day. That happened with the last administration and the current big tech. Couldn't trust them then. Can't trust them now. In other words, the remedy for the situation isn't more government or more big tech. The solution to the problem isn't going to come from big tech or government. It's not going to be a new cool technology that gets integrated. Instead, it's going to be digital right protections that are implemented, not through law, but codified through a constitutional amendment, a digital bill of rights that protects and preserves your digital freedoms, your data, your information, including your medical information. With the world going digital on blockchain, in less than 5 years, everybody will have a digital wallet. Your digital wallet will not be government owned. The government will not own it, and they will not control it. They won't even know that it's yours. It'll be your digital wallet. You can go get one right now, complete anonymity. And you should be able to take your digital data. You should be able to take your digital ID, your health information, tokenize it, and throw it into your personal wallet. Then when your health insurance company calls you up and says, hey, We're reviewing your medical records. We need access to them so that we can readjust your health insurance to lower your cost. You can grant them access. And then since it's on the blockchain, when they go in there and they have access, you can see if they copied it, if they made a clone of it or stole it or transferred it, because it's on the blockchain and it's transparent. That's how it should be with digital data. I got a friend, and they actually did all of the digital IDs for the 2022 Summer Olympics in Pennsylvania. I think that's what it was. And right now they're building out a privatized network for digital identification that houses medical records, that houses your crypto wallets, it houses your digital identity, and all of your personal digital data. And they've been trying to work with the government saying, hey, you can't control this side of the digital data. So how about this? Let private organizations come out there and create secure wallets with high levels of encryption that people can keep anonymity. And they can store their information in and make it be acceptable in the context of government systems. That is the only way I would move to a digital ID system, is that if I had anonymity within that digital ID, within that digital wallet, and that it was completely secured, encrypted, and that I controlled everything. I controlled all access through consent. On the other hand, I love what the Trump administration is doing. The Trump administration is taking down and dismantling the deep state, just as we said. But is it the full deep state? Is it the whole deep state? Is it all of the deep state that we've been talking about? It's not. And we have to recognize that. We have to recognize that just like on the Democrat side, there's a lot on the Republican side that are just as bad actors, that are just people who want to take power. Rich men north of Richmond just want to take total control. And it's not Democrat, it's not Republican, it's both. It's a uni party. And they're in the Trump administration. They're in the Department of Defense. They're in the Department of Justice. They're in the CIA. They're in the NSA. Michael Flynn said it yesterday when I played that clip on the show. He said there's machinations going on right now inside the government. There's people trying to upheave the disclosure process right now. You have people trying to stop disclosure right now. You had Josh Hawley today in committee stop Rick Scott's amendment to release Nancy Pelosi's personal data. I said that wrong because I get it, right? So basically an amendment came about in the bill today, the Pelosi Act. So the Pelosi Act came about, and this is to stop congressmen and senators from insider trading. And basically it comes about with, hey, you need to disclose all of this stuff. You need to give up your stocks and your bonds when you're in the Senate and Congress. The bill passed the committee. Hawley passed it, but he rejected Rick Scott's amendment. Now, the amendment was a review of Speaker Nancy Pelosi's and her husband's stock trading over the last 25 years. It's public information. And Josh Hawley stopped it. Well, why? Because Josh Hawley understands what happens if you review Nancy Pelosi's stock trading over the last 25 years. Then the Democrats are going to come out and say, let's review Josh Hawley's stock trading. Let's review Marjorie Taylor Greene's stock trading. Let's review this other Republican or this Republican. And then Pandora's box is really open. Remember when Kelly Loeffler back in 2020 came out of a Senate finance hearing after they were discussing COVID-19, and she called her husband, who runs the New York Stock Exchange, and her family's investments began shorting the entire market and selling everything off prior to the news of COVID coming out? That was a Republican. People should hang for that. There's protectors in the government trying to preserve power. These people want total control. I don't think Donald Trump is behind this agenda. I don't think Donald Trump is the one leading this agenda. I think that there's people that have Donald Trump's ear that are explaining this to him in a very, very convincing manner, that he's for it. He understands it. He sees it. But it doesn't mean that their intentions are pure. Now, speaking of that, if you watched our show last night, Alpha and I were talking about what's coming. We're talking about FISAgate and how FISAgate leads into COVID-19, the 2020 election fraud, the attempted steal of 2024. But it also backdates into all the crimes of Barack Obama and his administration. That FISAgate only came about because they were trying to cover up for their crimes for the last 8 years. And they were trying to remove Donald Trump because he was an impedance in their agenda. Listen to this.
We will close the border.
This is an executive order taking a large number of executive actions to secure our southern border.
It's now time for America to wage war on the cartels. We officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. I will end catch and release. We ended catch and release.
China has to stop sending fentanyl into our country and killing our people.
And now with the signing of the Halt Fentanyl Act, we are delivering another defeat for the savage drug smugglers and criminals and the cartels. My administration will deliver justice for every family whose loved one has been stolen from them by migrant crime, including Laken Riley. The very first bill I signed into law mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program of criminals. We're locating and loading illegal aliens into military aircraft and flying them back to the places from which they came. Kamala's app for illegals will be shut down immediately.
CBP launched an enhanced home mobile app with a new feature, the intent to depart.
Interesting. Now, Alpha says here, and he's spot on right. Did you catch it? Most didn't. President Trump just said the quiet part out loud. It's now time for America to wage war on cartels. My door is opening. He says, we officially designated the Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Why does this matter? Because you don't check a box like that for headlines. You do it for what's coming next. You check the boxes needed to deploy the next legal moves with authority. Ask yourselves, did Obama, Clinton, and the Biden administration and their players use these cartels for murder, i.e. Seth Rich? Human trafficking, Jeffrey Epstein, bribery, coup and cover ops. Are these same networks still in play? Think about the implications. Treason, seditious conspiracy, criminal enterprise, espionage. Designating them as foreign terrorist organizations opens the legal floodgates. Expanded military authority, asset seizures, RICO and national security cases that reach into the highest levels of government. Trump didn't just make a statement. He positioned the next moves in the takedown. The war declaration was brilliant. The next phase is already unfolding. Thank you to your attention on this matter. Alpha is absolutely right here. He's trying to tell you that Donald Trump declared war on the cartels. What did he mention about the cartels? China, Venezuela. He's talking about enemies of the state. He's talking about foreign adversaries that waged war against the United States of America, and the Democrats, Obama, all of them helped and took part in it. They were all a part of it. Now, remember, we talked about immunity the other day. Check this out, because it gets better. It gets a lot better.
face a potential similar situation as I know President Trump has every right to be frustrated with him. I think President Trump's analysis last week was right. I think my immunity rule might protect him on the original charges. That's what most legal experts tell me, that ruling is so sweeping it will protect Obama for what he did in office. However, Barack Obama can now be summoned before a grand jury. He cannot take the Fifth Amendment because he has immunity from prosecution. He'll have to tell the truth. If he lies as a private citizen about what he did as president, he'll no longer have that immunity. And that is a trap that Obama is sitting potentially facing. And I want to say the irony to that, because on January 5th, 2017, he presided over a meeting in the White House where the FBI had just cleared Mike Flynn of any wrongdoing, and they schemed in that meeting how they might be able to jam up Mike Flynn. And they came up with the idea, we'll lure him into an interview, catch him into a lie, and then prosecute him that way. Barack Obama now is about to face a potential similar situation as the one he created unfairly for Mike Flynn.
So Donald Trump talking about Obama having immunity, setting the trap. Sure, he has immunity. Let him have immunity. Now when we bring him in to testify, now when he goes in front of the grand jury, he can't lie. And if he does lie, and we have it all, we have all the evidence, he perjures himself and loses his immunity. What else did we find out today? This is actually something I mentioned last night. FBI Director Kash Patel reports discovering thousands of Trump-Russia probe documents in burn bags in a secret room at FBI headquarters. It was a mop closet. So Michael Flynn yesterday was talking about things that are coming about here relatively soon. What are those things? Let's listen to Ratcliffe and hear what he has to say.
What took place here. But look, our audience knows this, thanks to you and thanks to Devin Nunes. Our audience is well aware of what took place here, but we want to see accountability. Many of the statute of limitations have expired. It's been almost 10 years for many of these folks who did this. But John Brennan testified to Congress, and so did Hillary Clinton, within 5 years. I think it was in 2020, right, and then again in 2021. Are those statute of limitations still live? Tell me if, in fact, we could see a criminal prosecution here, as you just the other day, 3 weeks ago, have, in fact, referred criminal referrals to the DOJ.
Well, Maria, so part of what came out last week was about how John Brennan, Clapper, Comey, they all pushed the known fake Steele dossier into intelligence community assessments and as the basis for Crossfire Hurricane and all that. But what hasn't come out yet, and what's going to come out, is the underlying intelligence that I have spent the last few months making recommendations about final declassification and sent that to the Department of Justice that will come out in the John Durham report classified annex. And what that intelligence shows, Maria, is that part of this was a Hillary Clinton plan, but part of it was an FBI plan to be an accelerant to that fake Steele dossier, to those fake Russia collusion claims, by pouring oil on the fire, by amplifying the lie and burying the truth of what Hillary Clinton was up to. And you're right, Maria. John Brennan testified to John Durham in August of 2020. He also testified to the House Oversight Committee in 2022. Hillary Clinton testified before John Durham under oath in 2022. James Comey testified before the Senate committee in September 2020. All of that's within the last 5 years. And much of that testimony is, frankly...
Now, he says last 5 years because that is the statute of limitations for a felony.
Completely inconsistent with what our underlying intelligence that is about to be declassified in the Durham annex, what that reflects. And so, you know, Pam Bondi does have a strike force. It is a different Department of Justice, a different FBI, and an opportunity to look at how these people really did conspire to run a hoax, a fraud on the American people and against Donald Trump's presidency. And so coming forward We understand that they did this, but now we need to understand how they did this. And I think that's why you see the left losing their minds over this, Maria, saying, why are you spending time? This is vindictive. You're going back. This is Donald Trump, seeking retribution. It's not. Donald Trump's election by the American people was a statement, Maria. They said to everyone, we know what you did to Donald Trump, and we reelected him because we know this was all fake. We know it was a hoax. Now we want to understand how you did it so that it can't happen again. And that's what this declassification process that we're undergoing right now, what's going on, why it's so important, and why there can be accountability and preventability to prevent these same people that did it in 2016 with the Steele dossier, with the Hunter Biden laptop in 2020 from doing it again in the future.
Now, important, because today on Glenn Beck, what did we find out? We'll check this one out.
Sunday, John Ratcliffe said that there's more declassification of intelligence coming out that shows how deep this went. He said it's stunning. Any idea on the timeline of that?
It's going through the declassification process right now. I expect it to be released very soon. I think the document will speak for itself. And once again, it will, I think, confirm what a lot of people have already known to be true. But it'll connect a lot of the dots that have not been revealed in public before.
I hit the wrong button. I apologize for that, but you heard it right there. The classified annex of the Durham report is coming, and it could be coming any day right now. We're hearing August 2nd is potentially when it's going to drop. What are we going to learn? We're going to learn about the CCP, infiltration into the 2020 election. We're going to learn all about 2016 collusion, about how they cooperated together, the deep state, the DNC, Obama, Clapper, Brennan, with foreign intelligence, with foreign countries. The real collusion, the real crime. So buckle up, people. We have two things happening right now. We have a new system on the rise, a new system that is coming up that has the opportunity and potential to be great. But what do we have to do? We have to preserve our rights and our freedoms. We have to be louder. We control the information. We are the media now, but we have to be louder and preserve our rights and freedoms when it comes to our digital rights and freedoms, because that's the new infrastructure and system that is being developed. On the other side is you have the deep state. They're going to fight back because Trump is going directly after them. They're not going to stop. But we are seeing investigations, soon to be indictments. Right after indictments, we're going to see arrests. It's coming, guys. I'll be back with you tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, we're going to have the live Q&A. You guys can check that out. It'll be on all of our subscriber channels. The links for that are there. If you want to help and support us in any way, shape, or form, you can go to redpillproject.substack.com. That is one of the best places. As well, redpills.tv, redpills.tv. That is our main website, and we're all linked up there and other ways to support us over there. Wherever you're at, give that thumbs up, like and share. Get this out there. Make sure you're following. I will see you guys tomorrow. We got a lot more breaking news to discuss then and there. We'll get into that then. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!